Well, hello there, everybody. My name is Andrew Haxley, and I know a lot of you are big Disney fans, but the movie Wreck-It Ralph just came out on November 2nd. Unfortunately, I didn't get to see this movie, and from the trailers, I was really excited. And as you may call it, it's Wreck-It Ralph. It's pronounced Wreck-It Ralph, as you may call it. Like you can see that I'm saying Wreck-It Ralph because it is a movie that is you are all pretty familiar with it, but it's a very cool movie. So I'm just gonna do a spoiler-free movie review on this movie because I haven't seen it. I have seen the trailers. But I was just really excited for the movie itself coming out on that day. Um, didn't get to see much of the movie. I just got to see the main movie trailers. I thought they were pretty good. And I did get to see the movie, and guess what? That's why I'm making a movie review on it right now, and this is my spoiler-free movie review, so for those of you who have not seen this movie before, I will not actually spoil this movie for you, so if you want to go check it out for yourselves, definitely see it. Um, it's kind of got like a Toy Story feel to it, like in Neglastica, where, modern games are compared with real characters in real life. And this game is actually, or this movie, I mean, is actually a really cool movie because I've seen it, and the Disney company decided to release this movie just in time on November 2nd. So, yay, guys. But, anyways, um, the main story is about Ralph, Wreck-It Ralph, who likes to break things. And he's tired of, like, being a bad guy, and, there's Fix-It Felix Jr., and he always saves the day. He comes with his trusty golden hammer, and he always repairs the buildings and damages that are left behind. So, what Ralph decides to do is he decides to join, like, a villain's kind of, like, meeting where he arranges things. You can see a lot of villains, like the familiar ones in video games, such as Bowser from Super Mario Brothers. There's a lot of video game references to this movie, and by far, it's the best movie I've ever seen. So far, judging from the movie trailer, Ralph decides to set a course or a path for himself, not being a bad guy anymore, not being a video game villain smashing buildings. He decides instead to kind of just go to various different video game worlds, and there, he actually wants to win a medal for himself. So, yeah, that's how the story works out. And he meets this little girl named Vanellope, who's in this other kind of arcade machine called Sugar Rush. So while she's in that arcade machine, like where the video game is at, like he decides to join her, and they have like while she's in the arcade cabinet, like the arcade machine world, the video game world, he decides to kind of like join her, and so. This movie, it does kind of feel like it has a Toy Story kind of neglectic feel, because whether the main character is in the video game, like his original one that he used to be in before, he's always sleeping, like, where the rocks and the dirt is, and he wants to find a better life for himself and stop being a bad guy. So kids, like, they go and play with him, and, they find out, like, that there's, like, he finds out that being a good guy and not wrecking things no more like saying, I'm gonna wreck it, it's actually something else, and Fix-It Felix, like, I can fix it, and he's like fixing stuff, like Fix-It Felix Jr. Now I love this movie. There are just many video game references from this movie. First of all, we've got Capcom Street Fighter with Ryu, and it's really cool. And with the Zangief, the main bad guy, with a hairy chest and stuff, it's really cool. Then we have Nintendo, Bowser the Dragon from Super Mario Brothers, and we have see this other villain from Sonic. I just don't know his name. But yeah, from Sonic we have like a villain from Sonic the video game, or Sonic the Hedgehog, and we also have some other villains, including the ghosts of Pac-Man, from Bandia, called I don't know what his name is, but he's a really cool ghost. And we also have other ones here in this movie. Like, you can see, guys, like, for a very brief moment, like in the movie trailers, you can see that they actually do have a zombie. I don't know what video game he's from. But they also have some Bungie references, like kind of like Heroes Duty, like when he's going into the Heroes Duty cabinet. It kind of references a little bit of the Halo games, so like Master Chief, the same body armor they're wearing and stuff. It kind of looks like it, and yeah, and this commander, like the captain, Collusion, she's a pretty girl. That's really good because she has to be pretty. Her looks fit her very well. So yeah. Anyways, just also the main point of this movie is that sometimes Vanellope can be a brat, because she might demand what she wants to get. She sometimes negs Ralph, and there are a lot of references to other video games, like also we have Nintendo, yes, and yes, that's right, Nintendo. And so far, that is really cool because they have Nintendo, Capcom, Bandia, and much, much more and Bungie, like the references for every video game company that the company has made. So far, so that's really cool. Um, I love that the point of this movie was, it kind of felt like a Toy Story moment when, as rather just than being in Toy Story, Disney decided to come up with an idea to regularly make a new inspirational movie. It would inspire everybody to watch it in the movie theaters. And I think this movie by far is the best movie I can even relate to because I'll just say this. It kind of feels like a Toy Story movie that drifts away from the pace of the story's moments, where there's like a Toy Story feel where the main characters, including Ralph and Fix-It Felix Jr., it kind of feels like that in the Toy Story movie when Andy's not looking, his toys come to life. The same thing with the video game, inside, when you're inside a video game world, you come to life because when somebody's playing you or controlling you, you feel alive and you're inside the video game. And if you keep dying, then you don't know what's gonna happen. But so Ralph is tired of getting killed in almost every video game. And he does come to the Sugar Rush game, so that's exactly what happens. And then there's King Candy in there and sort of stuff like that. So I love it, and we also have this one. We also have this one as well. The other characters, the main ones, but this orange little dude. I don't know his name anymore, but he's really cool. But yeah, guys. Also, just to tell you guys, I love that this movie actually kind of reached out to me. It was pretty interesting. I found this movie to be rather quite interesting, than most Disney movies are. Because for a while, sometimes Vanellope, the main female characters in Disney movies, they're not always that great, they're not always that good. But I trusted Vanellope as the girl because I thought she did a very well job of acting, she just did a good job, so I'll get onto the acting later. For now, I want to say the story drifts along very good, and it kind of makes this movie look more realistic. There are some video games which are kind of sloppy and choppy and cartoonish and stuff, but some of the games are more realistic and they have a more high definition kind of world than just an old kind of cabinet game. If you found a cabinet game and you played it for more than 2 hours, you'd regularly just find out that it would actually not look that good, because the quality and graphics would just kind of make the game look a little bad. So yeah, that's exactly my point. But anyways, so the characters, as far as I can tell, the characters in this movie are actually, they look very good. I love Ralph because he's my favorite character. He looks like a giant. There's nothing wrong with being a giant guy and with giant hands and smashing things when you're angry. Just like the Incredible Hulk when he smashes things he's just in the Avengers, when he smashes and goes against something. I actually love that movie for a couple of reasons too, because I love how the Hulk actually runs around in New York City and trying to stop Loki and his minions, his aliens. And rather than just trying to fight off Loki, he's always going around and smashing buildings and stuff. And for the same reason, I love Ralph, because he's destined to win that medal and he's destined to become a hero. And nobody even loves him, and nobody even wants to, no one understands him very well than Vanellope does, because she understands him just perfectly fine. she can be a very little naughty girl sometimes, but I think that's just because the movie was made that way, and unfortunately, that's how the people wanted the characters to progress through this story. So that's maybe why. Another character which I loved out of all of them is the captain, the commander. Her name is Collusion, and she is pretty good. You know, she's not bad or anything. She's actually very good. You know, and she's just pretty good acting. You know, she looks for her looks. You know, she's like dressed to kill, and although she's not as a bad like role model, she's still a very good like one out there on the big screen. Okay, now on to the acting. I love John C. Reily. He did a good job as Ralph, playing as Wreck-It Ralph. This actor, I think he did a good job, and whenever he acts like he smashes buildings, that's so funny. That makes me laugh. And I love just how, you know, his role could be contributed to, of course, Mark Ruffalo's, because I just understand from a perspective, you've got two people. Mark Ruffalo is playing the Hulk, and John C. Reilly is playing Ralph. So if John C. Reilly is playing Ralph, and Mark Ruffalo in the Avengers is playing the Hulk, the Incredible Hulk, of course, then that'd be really nice. But, you know, it's just that I love how Ralph gets along with people, how friendly he is, and how encouraging he is to be, you know, sharing his, you know, respect and passion. He's always, you know, he cares a lot for people, and he's a good guy, you know. He doesn't ever, you mean, like, I didn't mean to say like you mean, I meant to say like, he means that he's a really cool guy, and on the other hand, he actually tries, you know, to get attention. The most likely people, like, the more likely he starts becoming a hero instead of a villain, the more people will respect him and more people will love him. So that's why they like him now. So yeah. Also, another one that I like is Sarah Silverman, who plays as Vanellope Van Swachezz. She did a good job, I think. Vanellope Van Swachezz is, you know, her acting, and Sarah Silverman, I'm just going to give her credit. She just did a good job as Sarah Silverman. I think I'll also give John C. Reilly credit because he did a good job as well. And I think he just was an inspiration for Ralph and, you know, contributing to what we've never seen before on the big screen. I think we actually, I love, like, how, you know, Vanellope Van Schwartz is played by Sarah Silverman, and almost like any Disney movie, she would do a good job, you know. There's no mistakes, no casualties whatsoever. And the main point about it is that she's a glitch, and Ralph is trying to prevent her from entering out with him, because if she does, she's gonna die. And in the end, it was upsetting to me because it made me very sad and realize that she died. So yeah, guys, that's how it really happened. You know, you don't get. I'm not gonna tell you the whole spoiler. You guys are gonna have to watch the movie. I'm not gonna spoil you on this one. This is not a spoiler. I'm just mentioning what happened in the movie, you know, therefore I am not against any spoilers. I'm just saying, if you guys haven't seen this movie, go see it. It's an awesome movie. And another actress like her that I like is, her name is Dane Lynch. Now, Dane Lynch, Dane Lynch, I think she did a good job as Captain Commander Cullison in the Heroes Duty video game arcade cabinet. I think she did a wonderful job, spectacular, and she just stands out as a performance in the video game world, whether she's dressed up to kick, you know, butt, you know, or serious, like, inflict serious pain on the bad guys or kick butt, you know. She's definitely just one of the most bestest, like, one of the characters there is. And I'm gonna tell you guys, I agree with everybody. And I mean, she just looks very, really cute in that outfit, don't you think, you guys? I mean, she's really cool. Don't get me wrong, no offense, but still, I love her. And the way she acts in this movie, she just did a good job, you know. Her voice acting, how she voices the characters, all the characters who are voiced by different actors and actresses did a good job. And I would not consider watching this movie if it weren't for the voice acting, because every time I see a movie and I want to go see it, I just want it to be a better movie, not going to stretch out the boundaries of what really looks like a movie, but definitely acts like a comedy. And the director, Richard Moore, who made this movie, he also did a very good job because he directed this movie. He had a chance to meet with the Disney company like to meet up with the Disney company, and he did a good job on this movie. And it's no wonder how good he really did in this movie because he's now with Disney. I never knew he made a Disney movie before. He only worked on the Simpsons TV shows, and also he like worked on the Simpsons TV shows, and I also like that he also worked on the Futurama TV shows. But he actually worked on the Simpsons and the Futurama TV shows, so I really like that. He's a really good director, and so, now he makes us, or what comes to us from Richard Moore is now Wreck-It Ralph. So I think this is a good start for him. Keep up the good work, Richard Moore. You're an excellent director, and I think you did a good job. Your animation is by far the best, and I love it. So, that's right. So, I really love it. I also love the other character, Fix-It Felix Jr., who was played by Jack Mcbryer. Yes, Jack Mcbryer. As all of you may know, Jack Mcbryer is actually a pretty good actor. I love Jack Mcbryer, and as much as I love the next guy, I think Jack Mcbryer seriously just nailed the role as Fix-It Felix Jr. Plus, he's like a guy who fixes things, and he wears like a little blue cap on his head, and he's like a mechanic who goes around and fixes buildings and stuff, and he's like, I can fix it, and he's like surely being really fast enough to fix stuff. So I think that's really good, like, for that. The animation, I definitely was dazzled. I was, just surprised that the animation turned out to be very good in this movie, because I thought that the predecessors, unlike Toy Story, would rather go with a kind of like a pretty good animation, but they wouldn't like fall out of that kind of department or scheme. And I'm not trying to be against Disney here. I'm just trying to say that Disney did a good job at making like a realistic world where sometimes you are in a video game and you just go to a different video game and bam, everything is over there. So you can see the characters, how they play the game, and how the kids control the video game world. You know it. Everything, like, including from bam, 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 bam to shooting the guns. Everything in this movie. I actually adored it. I thought it was cute, and I thought this animation just rocked and dazzled me. It surprised me, but it didn't just surprise me, it also dazzled me, and I loved it. I loved every single little bit of it. I especially loved the moment when, Wreck-It Ralph was dressed up and he was screaming, like, at somebody playing the video game. It just made me laugh. It made me realize that the animation can be funny, and some parts of this movie were humorous enough to be hilarious, and, hilarity ensues from that point on, guys. But this movie was actually doing a very fine job at, like, everything. The animation, the CGI, like, kind of thing. I think I loved the mostly part about this was the CGI effects, the special effects, including the explosions, the character deaths and stuff. I thought I loved that for sure, because I think this movie could have been a realistic movie, like, where video games come to life when you're not looking, and they're like, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, and, sometimes kind of stuff like that. But I love this movie. And don't get me wrong, I really love my favorite character, Wreck-It Ralph, now, but I really just adored this movie. This movie is simply gorgeous, and I think I'm just gonna make sure that this movie is the best movie I've ever watched before. And I think this movie did settle the score for me. I loved it, especially since I've never seen it before. I've only seen other Disney movies like Frankenweenie and stuff. Although I haven't seen this movie, I just really wanted to see this movie because I thought that, why not go see a movie? Actually, that little dude's name is actually Cubic, and Cubic is actually my favorite character as well. I think he is also an awesome video game character if you see him in the trailer. Cubic is actually like a little orange circle who bounces around, and he speaks like, like, kind of like that language. So, yeah, I did enjoy this movie, so I just gotta say it was fantastic. So yeah, that's exactly what happened. So yeah. I love the soundtrack for this movie. This movie's soundtrack was definitely suspenseful at times, and it never failed. Especially on a higher note, since I've seen this movie, I appreciate it. I've come to learn that this movie's soundtrack scoring was taken from almost any realistic movie and just transported to this new Disney cartoon, which was like a comedy. And I don't believe that this movie actually never even had a suspenseful looking soundtrack before. The first time I listened to the music, the first time I even listened to this music when it was, or sure, like, I didn't even know that it had, like, a suspenseful kind of, or sure, and I never even knew that this movie, like, even had, like, suspenseful kind of, like, score to it. Like, the first time I ever heard the soundtrack when I was, or sure about that, you guys. But anyways, and I've never even heard that this movie even had, like, a suspenseful looking soundtrack before. Like, the first time, like, when I listened to this was when I was watching the chase scenes and the fight scenes and stuff, and all I could just say is possibly the soundtrack, the soundtrack score and composition and composer who did a good job on this. I think he just went for the score because Walt Disney Productions are very good at, like, making soundtracks for new movies, like soundtracks, like for Frankie and Winnie, they did a good job. And this movie is actually kind of feels and kind of is like realistic, just like Toy Story, where Woody and Buzz are kind of come to life and then spring back like into toys as if nothing ever happened. And this movie it's not even possible to be like in a real video game where you're actually the main bad guy and you're always just like like you're running and people are like shooting at you and you fall to the ground and you're dead and it's game over. I mean, it's kind of like a movie where when a game is over you have to start over. Or once a game is over, it says game over and you're done for. No more coins, no more exchanges. But I love this movie definitely, and I've got to give it credit because this movie did a good job, and I loved all the kind of like story mashup and stuff, and I just loved how the characters standed out to me. I thought this movie actually rocked. So yeah, you guys. And I'm gonna give this movie a rating, which is a 10.9 out of 10, if I have to say, because it's an excellent movie, and I think it's way better than it's way better than some Disney movies because I actually love this movie better. I don't like The Little Mermaid, but I do love this movie, and it's way better than other Disney movies, kind of like that. So yeah, overall, this movie was amazing. And if you guys enjoy this movie, then please tell me what you think in the comments below. If you saw it or not, if you went to catch it at your local movie theater, just leave a comment down below, and I'll respond back to it. But anyway, so this was my movie review on Wreck-It Ralph. It was spoiler free, and I did not share any spoilers, so please don't go ahead and start commenting right now, because if you start commenting, the comments will be removed no matter how offensive or rude they are. But please remember that I will not comply to serious comments like, when are you going to see the movie, and when are you going to expect to see this movie at your local movie theater? But leave a comment down below saying what you think about this movie. And thank you guys for watching this movie review. And as always, see you next time. Thank you all guys for watching, and peace, brothers. Bye-bye, everybody. Catch you all next time. And see you all again soon. Thank you. Bye-bye, everybody. Peace out, dudes.